This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creatives, leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. Today I'm joined by the powerhouse behind Melbourne Theatre News and Just Auditions, Dawn Ridsdale, a passionate supporter of local theatre. Dawn is not only the driving force behind some of Australia's most trusted theatre platforms, but also a seasoned musical theatre performer herself. Let's dive into her journey from the stage to the spotlight of social media. Welcome to Showtime, Dawn Ridsdale.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good.
And so great to have you here in the studio.
Thank you.
What was the first theatre show you ever saw?
I think probably my earliest memory was in primary school when there wasn't a lot of community theatre around. So when you had excursions to see theatre, you went into a city. We came into Melbourne to see like Peter Rabbit, that kind of thing. So that was fun. And then, I just got hooked once I started high school because we didn't have any drama in primary school like they do these days. So in early high school, our drama teacher started doing annual shows, and we were the first year level that got to do it. So I got hooked from that day on and then joined community theatre after I finished high school.
And how do you go from that as a kid coming into town to watch shows to starting a platform like Melbourne Theatre News?
Well, it probably started when I first got together with my fiancé, Craig. I took him to his first ever community theatre musical. We saw Best Little Whorehouse in Texas in 2011, and we came home from that and he was just like, this is absolutely fantastic. I love this. How do you find out where the shows are on, when they are, when auditions are on? And I was thinking like, you get a little bit off this platform, a little bit off that platform and word of mouth. So he said, well, isn't there one place that consolidates them all? I'm like, well, not really. There are ones that try to put it together, but there's always shows missing. So he decided to start up Just Auditions and made that into a Facebook page as well, and Melbourne Theatre News, where people can join the group and just post whatever they like about Melbourne theatre. So, and the auditions page absolutely exploded. We now have 13,000 followers on our Victorian page, which is the original Just Auditions page. Then we started off different states as well. So we've got Just Auditions, NSW, QLD, and all of those, but we couldn't change the Just Auditions one to Just Auditions Vic without showing Facebook proof that we'd actually officially changed the name. So the original Just Auditions is for you Melbourne people.
But you've got one for other cities too now.
For other states as well, yeah. We don't really have a huge following on those ones because we don't have people in those states to sort of know when things are on and to coordinate it. It's a massive job trying to find all the auditions and all the shows to put on the sites. So if there is anyone in other states that would love to take on some of these other states or be another administrator for our Melbourne sites, please get in contact with us.
So with Melbourne Theatre News, what's changed since that original vision of the platform to what it is today?
Well, it started off fairly small. Now we have quite a few followers in that group too. It's expanded, more than I even realise because I don't do a huge amount of shows these days and I'm more of a play person rather than doing musicals. So I'm not really in the community of musical theatre as such. So, I didn't know until, Andrew really told me that it's one of the biggest platforms that people go to find out about shows. So that is absolutely fantastic.
Has your relationship with theatre changed or evolved since starting Melbourne Theatre News?
I don't think it's changed too much. I have the theatre companies that I follow personally, and local ones are more convenient to go to. So I stick to a lot of the ones out in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne most of the time.
It seems to me that Melbourne Theatre News is a way for theatre people to unite and people who are passionate about theatre to unite. Was that part of the driver for it from your point of view?
Yeah, definitely, to bring people together and spread the word. Because as I said, my partner had no idea about the community theatre in Melbourne, and most general people that aren't directly into it don't know about it. hopefully we'll get some outsiders and new people to actually come and see all our fantastic community theatre shows that are out there in Melbourne. I started to put a list together of all the theatre companies and tried to get all contact details. And my list ended up being over 100, I think.
There are a lot of local theatre companies, of bigger metro theatre companies. It's amazing. I think there are something like 150 theatre companies in Melbourne, including the independent funded companies right through to the not for profit. It's such a place for amazing live theatre, plays and musicals.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be a bit bigger than Sydney as well. I did live in Sydney for 5 years and started a community theatre company up there in Liverpool with my then partner who was in theatre as well. And I actually went to starting up the theatre company. We were putting together the first show and they were sorting out the bar and that kind of thing and front of house. And I said, well, are we going to get sherries for that? And they're like, what? You don't get sherries at theatre? I'm like, we're from Melbourne. You always have a sherry before you go to the theatre in the foyer and chat with people and catch up with people you haven't seen for ages and since the last show that you saw them at. Yeah, and they thought it was a really weird concept to have a sherry at theatre.
For those not from Melbourne and for those that don't know, it's a thing, especially with smaller suburban community theatre companies where there are people who are sometimes part of the cast or crew and other times part of the audience that are coming along and they're all members and they're all mates. You often have a bar with a sherry or a cup of tea if you're that way inclined. And it's part of the bonding, part of the connection of that community theatre world, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And a great tradition.
Yep.
What was your biggest fear when starting these platforms?
Probably just that they would go nowhere, that they wouldn't take off, which, we've been proved wrong. And it's a lot of work as well. We do it for the love of it. We don't take any kind of income or anything from it. It's all free to advertise and promote your shows and your auditions on all of our platforms. So, but it takes a lot of time. My partner and I are both run our own businesses as well. We're sole traders, so we don't have a massive amount of time to spend on them. So we'd like the community to, it's a lot easier when the community brings the information to us rather than us having to go out and find it. So if you can send us the information, send us a message on the sites that you've got a show coming up. You can post directly on the Melbourne Theatre News page, but you can't in the Just Auditions group. We just do that to try to prevent spamming and irrelevant information going on it. So they are vetted before they're put on there. But we will share anything we come across on Facebook as well. We'll share it to the platforms too.
Dawn, what was the reaction you got from theatre companies when this was still an idea and you were first approaching them?
They all said it was absolutely fantastic. They loved the idea. But then we found it very difficult to actually get them to bring us the information, as I said. Craig started to put together like a quarterly calendar of all the shows in Melbourne that are coming up. We distributed them front of house to a couple of shows to see how it would go. They all got, snapped up, but then people didn't send us when their shows were coming up or they'd post them online like a week before the show was on. That doesn't give you enough time to put it into the calendar. So we found the logistics of that a little difficult. So we did have to kind of can that idea.
Have you been surprised by any of the connections or friendships that you've made through this journey?
Yeah, there's definitely a few people in the community theatre and music areas that we've connected with, quite well, and they know us from Melbourne Theatre News and Just Auditions when we go to shows. Although I haven't been to a lot of shows in the last 12 months because I've taken a lot more caring roles in my family, so we need to get out there and see a lot more of the shows though.
And there are a lot. So it's a lot of work to go. I mean, I see as many shows as I possibly can. I don't think I see 20% of the shows that are on in Melbourne. There are just so many, from the big commercial shows in the city to the amazing local theatre shows in some of the outer suburbs and some of the regional towns in Victoria too. Yeah,
I got to see a lot of shows when I was working front of house for a couple of the local actual theatres that were run by the council. So that was good. I got to usher for those, so I get to sit in for free and watch all the shows. That was fabulous.
And just auditions, did that happen before or after Theatre News?
It was kind of both together.
And was it always your plan to run both and to grow both? Or was it simply, let's put the idea out there and see what happens?
Yeah, well, Craig is quite an entrepreneur and likes building websites and Facebook pages and all that kind of thing. So we did want to build it up, possibly even eventually pass it on to someone else to coordinate. Would be great if anyone is interested in being a part of it and being an administrator of the group and the pages. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you, and we can do that in conjunction with you. Eventually, maybe even take it over. Who knows if anyone...
What's the difference from your point of view between Just Auditions and some of the other audition platforms that are out there?
We try to cater for more of the not-for-profit, independent type theatre rather than the professional ones. Some of the other platforms around have a lot of the mainly paid gigs, and we do have the odd person that comes to Just Auditions and says, well, how do I know any of these auditions are actually paid gigs? Well, we get the very occasional one, but it is mainly for not-for-profit, that you do it all for the fun of it.
What do you think are the biggest challenges in theatre today compared to 2011 when all of this started for you?
Probably getting it all together in one place, yeah, because there are so many platforms now, and trying to get theatre companies to actually have a promotional plan and an actual schedule of when they promote their shows, when they promote their auditions, what avenues they have to promote them would be great. To have that schedule in writing and follow the steps of it so you can pass it on to the next person that does the marketing and promotions for your shows would be a great element to have on your committee to be able to coordinate everything in a timely manner.
Dawn, there are a lot of independent theatre companies and smaller theatre production companies and independent producers that watch and listen to these episodes. How do you think some of the smaller groups who might struggle to get bums on seats, how do you think they can use tools like Melbourne Theatre News to better reach out and to build their community?
I think having catchy information on it, catchy photos, memes, any of that kind of thing to catch people's eyes. And one of the big errors that we've found with it is that people promote their cast and what the show is, but they don't say anything in the opening of their post about where the show is and what dates it's on. It's like, well, that's some of the key information that you need to put up front in your posts in order to get people there when you want them there.
So what are those key bits of information?
Your basics, what, where, how, why, who. Just follow those basic rules and you'll have all the information that your audiences and auditionees want. Dawn,
you mentioned before that you are too busy to get out to as many shows as you would like to get out to and as many shows as you used to get out to. What do you miss most about going out and seeing as many shows as you used to?
Just the atmosphere of theatre. It's just so electric when you walk into a foyer of a theatre. I always see people that I know at every show that I go to and catching up with people you haven't seen for years or you've done shows with previously too. So, yeah, it's always a great outlet to go out on a Friday, Saturday night to see some theatre. Yeah, gets you, out from in front of the TV.
Those screens. Although we can't rag on the screens too much because they're watching us now.
Yeah.
Or listening to us now. What's the favourite show you've ever seen? No pressure.
Probably my most favourite musicals are Kinky Boots and Jekyll and Hyde are my top two. I did follow Kinky Boots from Melbourne up to Queensland and then saw it again in Melbourne. So that was a absolutely fantastic show. Was it Callum Francis who played the lead in that? Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and a few of the local theatre companies have done Jekyll and Hyde over the last few years. We took our friends to see Clock's version of Jekyll and Hyde and their jaws hit the floor. It was just brilliant. Clock's, quality of theatre is phenomenal.
And isn't it amazing that there are so many companies in Melbourne, especially, and Victoria, that that do not-for-profit theatre, and the performers are volunteers. So these are performers who aren't being paid to perform, and often have other 9-to-5 jobs, but for one reason or another have chosen not to pursue a career in the performing arts, but they've still got this creative itch that they want to scratch. And the talent that we see on stage in some of these amateur productions is absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. When I did high school musicals, like any and every kid got into it. I wasn't particularly a great singer or anything, but I got my first lead role in like year 10 of the high school production and ended up having bronchitis on my birthday when I performed. Got the video evidence still for that too. And yeah, these days it would have been, you would have had your voice dubbed backstage or something like that, something a lot more technical. But the teachers just let me go with it, and yeah, I was pretty bad, but they're like, it's kids doing it. They were peep show productions. But these days, the high school kids do like all the big lead musicals and everything. It's just outstanding.
Dawn, I've got some quick fire questions that I'd love to throw at you. And just the first thing that comes to mind. Mm-hmm. What's the last show that made you cry?
Theatre shows, yes. Oh, actually, yes, I did cry. Up in Sydney when I was living up there, I'd only just broken up with my partner at the time, and then I went to see Les Mis. Yeah. And ended up having to sit in a seat away from my group because I had a separate ticket, and I sat there in the dark just howling my eyes the whole way through Les Mis.
What was it about Les Mis that did that?
Well, it's just such a tragic show, and it's got so many, death scenes in it and people mourning their long-lost loves, and, yeah, it just really hit home.
What's a dream role that you haven't had a chance to play yet?
Dream role. If you counted musicals, which as I said, I'm not a very good singer, I would probably do the Eponine in Les Mis. Yeah, I love that role. And I can't remember her name, but in Kinky Boots, the girl that he ends up being with, that he works with.
This is that awkward moment where we're both going to stare at each other, and in about 2 hours' time...
That was the name.
Yeah.
Google.
Put a comment below or don't, whatever. As an audience member, plays or musicals?
I don't mind either, actually. I don't really have a preference for either, but as a performer, I've got 2 left feet, so I can't really dance that well. And, so I go for plays, a lot of English farces. I mainly do when it comes to plays.
What's a show that you've seen way too many times but still love?
Back to Les Mis again.
How many times have you seen it?
Probably at least about half a dozen times, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I haven't seen the professional one on stage, but local theatre companies.
There's an arena spectacular coming to Melbourne fairly soon?
Yes, it is. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I saw the arena spectacular on TV when they did the last one.
If your theatre life had a theme song, what would that be?
I'm too practical to make this a career.
Nice. Which could apply to so many people in the local theatre world, couldn't it?
Yeah. You'd love to make it your full-time job because it's your passion, but very few of us actually make a decent income out of it. So my parents couldn't afford to support me to go to like VCA or anything like that. So I started a full-time job, and I have a house now and a mortgage to pay off.
How do people find Melbourne Theatre News and Just Auditions?
Melbourne Theatre News and Just Auditions, or if you're looking for the other states, Just Auditions with the state at the end.
I'm with Dawn Ridsdale. Don't forget to take a look at Melbourne Theatre News and Just Auditions on Facebook. There'll also be some information below and also on the page, thetheatre.au/Showtime. Dawn, thank you so much for coming in for a chat.
Thank you, Andrew.
And thank you so much for your incredible support of this crazy thing that we love, local theatre.
Yes, thank you.